What's good, Jae Raider, Dre Day, Bandyman 4536 on the PlayStation? Xbox.
On the Xbox, nigga. Fuck a
Xbox.
PlayStation, nigga.
Find him at Bandyman 4536 on the Xbox, man, for all the 2K work. This is Common Conscience, episode 2.5. 2.5.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, last time we had some good viewership, man. We got our feet wet on a couple of things. We learned the ropes a little bit. Listened to the market on what they wanted to hear. I thought it went pretty well. What'd you feel about it?
I felt good, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's all a learning process. You know what I'm saying? It's a great start point, though. It like you said, man, getting to see a little bit more of what people want to see, what we gonna deliver on here. You know, just hone the content in.
Right, for sure. So you know what you can get from us, per usual. We got some topics in mind we want to address. You know what I mean? This past week, some big things happened. We want to touch on, of course, the Breonna Taylor ruling. We'll just jump it off with that, man. Obviously, not good vibes about that, but, you know, not at all, actually. I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting a better outcome, of course. It's just one of those cases where it took too long. People were going to be upset either way just because it took so long to get some type of justice out of the whole thing. And turns out the wait was for nothing, you know. So let's talk about it, man. What's your take on what went down? Where do we go from here, etc.?
I mean, from the top, I guess, like, I'm not surprised, unfortunately. Like, I wish I was surprised. Like, I wish that I thought it was going to be more than this. Honestly, I feel more disrespected than I do surprised. Like, I know it sounds crazy, bro, but if they had just let all the officers get off, that would have been one thing. But that wanton endangerment charge, bro, that being the sole charge on one officer at that, like, it's a slap in the face, really. Like, you went out of your way to say that they shot 40 bullets in and around this apartment. 7 or more of them went into a person, and a couple of them could have possibly hit another person. And, bro, like, it just so happens that the neighbors are white.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't know, bro. Like, it's a slap in the face, bro. It's like the only people who gonna get justice here are the people no one gets justice. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's to go out the way to say, like, while we screaming Black Lives Matter, while we trying to in the streets burning shit down because we so sick of being treated like we don't matter, in the same breath they like the wall mattered. The people who could have got hurt on the other side of the wall mattered, but like the girl, the woman, fuck it.
Right.
You know, like, those are the vibes I get, bro. Like, it's not, I guess I could liken it to, like, if you had a child who you just neglected, right? Who you, like, I don't know, man. Like if you didn't pay attention to your kid at all, I guess what I'm trying to put, you didn't fuck with your kids at all, right? You just let them figure it out on their own, and when they fail, they fail, and whatever happens, you was like, whatever. Like, that's one thing, right? But it's another thing if you actively poke at and chastise that child while you raise the other ones. I mean, in truth, why you neglect the other ones, if you want my honest opinion of how shit is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you got 3
like a favorite
kids
child
and you neglect
situation.
all 3 of them. Yeah, I mean, even worse, you got 3 kids, you neglect all 3 of them, but then you fuck with one of them. Like, one of them you also gotta fuck with. Like, why they gotta, like, when I see shit like this, bro, like, I already knew that for whatever it amounts to, like, our lives didn't matter to these motherfuckers, but it's like, why can't you just not give a fuck about me? Why you gotta fuck with me too?
Right.
And that's what that extra charge was, bro. That was just like an extra little fuck you that they just didn't have to do.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, man. It's like, it seems that, like, you know the climate of the country, man. Like, you know what's going on here. And if you really wanted to do something to try to at least smooth things over, at least play the game, you know what I mean? At least pretend like you're trying to care. You know, they came out with this ruling that essentially was exactly what you said. It's exactly what I was going to say. It's a big middle finger. It's a big slap in the face like, oh, we're going to charge somebody, but just because we can, we're going to charge the only person who shot into the white neighbor's house. You know, because
not even the only officer who missed. He's not even the only officer who missed shots. Like, if you were going to just throw around the wanton endangerment, you could have gave that to the other dude too.
Could have gave it to everybody. Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it'd be one thing if they blanket charged everybody with wanton endangerment. You know, it wouldn't have been what people wanted, but it would have been at least fair to a degree.
It wouldn't have been justice, but it would have been the usual fuck you.
Right.
It would have been the usual injustice. It would have been like, yeah, they murdered a girl, but at least now they all got felonies on their record or whatever. Like, whatever way you could try and, you know what I'm saying? But like, we saying the same thing though, bro. That's why just giving one of them that charge, like.
Yeah. So would you rather have nobody been charged at all?
I guess the answer is yes, but I don't really feel like it's worth saying. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Because what I would have rather happened is live in a world where we get the justice that we deserve for events like this. Like,
right.
And just the way that it all unfolded, the way that it ended up this way, like, it wasn't just happenstance. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like, the more I look into it, you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, I think full disclosure, like, I don't look into this stuff much. Like, I try not to, honestly. I literally, bro, like, if you even look at my social media since the ruling came out, I haven't even mentioned it. And that's kind of unlike me. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, I don't even want to go there. So before we get ready for doing this, I start kind of looking into it, like, you know, how did we get to this point? And I'm start looking into, like, how do grand juries work?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. And like, when you're grand jury, the prosecution is the only people who present evidence. Like, your defense lawyer's not in the building. Like, the prosecution is the only people who submit evidence. But the thing about it is, in these cases, is that typically the prosecution and the police work together. So you get a situation where the person who's supposed to be proving that these men did do whatever are really trying to get them off. And it's like, so they bring forward one witness who says he heard the police announce themselves before they hit the door, right? But there's 11 witnesses who said they didn't hear shit. And they didn't call any of them because they have full discretion on that. You feel what I'm saying? And the one witness, I just read this, the one witness who did say he heard it, when he originally made a statement, said he didn't hear anything, and then he changed his entire story 2 months later.
Damn.
The only witness who says that it went down the way the police say it went down. And I'm just asking anyone who, think, if you watch Law and Order, if you ever seen an episode of CSI, if I got convicted or I'm getting tried for something, and there's only one person who says it happened the way that I said it did, and that person changed their story, is the prosecution gonna fuck with me on that? You feel what I'm saying? But like, the prosecution is the one who brings this to the grand jury, and they bring it to them in this way. They bring it to them like with the self-defense. Like, there's notes that they mention self-defense to the grand jury. But a prosecutor wouldn't do that in any other circumstance, because self-defense is called an affirmative defense that's brought by the defense attorney. Like, a prosecutor would never mention self-defense because they don't have to prove that you did. They don't have to prove that it wasn't self-defense. The prosecutor, the defense attorney has to prove that it was. Like, the burden of proof doesn't lie with prosecution. Does that make sense?
Right.
So, like, literally, you're watching Daniel Cameron, fuck a nigga named Daniel Cameron. You watching Daniel Cameron intentionally submit evidence to these people that's biased to say that the officers were not really at fault. Even though there's this massive wealth of evidence aside from that the people who made this decision never got to see. And that's important that people know. Like, the people who made these decisions, the members of the grand jury, never saw all the evidence. They only saw evidence that exonerated the officers from the man who was supposed to be seeking justice for Breonna Taylor, not making sure the police got off.
Right. So I guess my question now is, why only charge the one officer who shot the only bullets into that one neighbor's apartment? Like, what if a charge comes from this at all? Why is that the only charge that happens?
I can't give you any answer besides fuck y'all.
Exactly. So
literally.
I mean because, and obviously this was just a tweet, but I saw a tweet from a guy the day that it happened, and he said, think about this. Nobody came to charges on Breonna Taylor's death. Nobody came to charges on being at the house at all. Nobody came into charges for the stray bullets that were fired into the other neighbor's home, who happens to be non-white. The only charge that came was for the officer who shot into the white home. And that charge was wanton endangerment. So not only is there still no justice for, the killing of Breonna Taylor, there's no justice for even, why, if this is wanton endangerment over here, the exact same thing happened to the neighbor's house. Why is it not wanton endangerment over there? And the only answer is the only difference between the two homes. So at this point, how can you honestly still deny that this is what's going on here? Like, if we took Breonna Taylor's home out of the equation completely, because now all we're talking about is wanton endangerment. If wanton endangerment is a charge that's brought as a result of stray bullets flying into a home, that happened to 2 other homes. Why weren't the charges brought on both of those homes equally? And if nobody can give me an answer to that,
they can do it.
Right. And if nobody can give me an answer to that sufficient, other than the obvious that one of them's white and one of them's black, then we don't have any other conclusion to draw.
Straight up. And they showing you they could do it because that's what they did in Atlanta. When Rayshard Brooks got killed, the officer who shot at him, the one who they threw the book at, they charged his ass the fuck up. They charged him for every bullet that hit another person's car. Not for each car, for every bullet. They could, if you don't even have to be black, bro. If you know somebody, it's more likely that it happened this way if you know somebody black, unfortunately. But if you know someone who's really been through the criminal justice system, they could tell you that they could do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. They could really pretty much do whatever they want. Like, once they start charging you, like, they could kind of look, bro, I remember when we were in high school, fresh out of high school, niggas used to say, like, bro, if you get caught with some ecstasy, they'll give you 10 years for every pill they catch you with. Right? But, like, I know people who got caught with ecstasy before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never knew nobody who got charged up like that. But the statute exists.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And that's kind of the thing, is that, like, they have so much discretion in these instances where they can really make it be whatever they want to make it be. Yeah. And I think that's why the fuck you hurts even more. Because, bro, they could have charged him with manslaughter and it would have still been fucked up because they murdered her. You know what I'm saying? But it would have at least been a real charge. They could have Amber Geigered him. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. That's what I call anytime that someone gets a charge that sounds bad, but when you look deeper on it, they still pretty much got off. Right. But this is the thing about that. And I'm not saying that, but I definitely don't feel like anyone got justice in that. But Amber Geiger can't be a cop anymore.
Right.
And she didn't even kill somebody in the line of duty because she showed that she doesn't have the judgment to be in that position. She can't be anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's just such a massive difference from 3 officers, one who gets felony wanton endangerment, and I'm sure if he gets, because that's what I was going to say to you earlier, it's not even a conviction, it's just a charge.
Right.
He could easily get off. Like, we still got time for this nigga to get off. And, right. And bro, what you just said, if I'm his lawyer, I'm getting him off. He's not even the only one who did it, and he's the only one who got charged.
Yeah.
They shot into these other apartments, but they were in self-defense. They were in fear because blah, blah, blah. And, bro, like, I just can't understand how. It's not that I can't understand. It's just fucked up that black people aren't looked at like American citizens. Like, when something happens to a black person, it's not looked at like it happened to an American citizen.
Right.
Because Breonna Taylor's boyfriend was illegally registered firearm owner. Like, he was supposed to have that gun.
Right.
For all the people who say that they would never vote Democrat because they want to take the guns, and if somebody comes in here, I have the right to protect my family and all this other shit or whatever. So you telling me that you want to be sitting in your bed and motherfuckers busting your shit, and when you shoot because you afraid, then you get your wife, girlfriend murdered, and then subsequently you almost get charged for the shit because you acted in self-defense?
Right.
You know,
and the other side of the aisle always says something like, he shouldn't have fired at the cops first. Okay, well, they kicked his door in. Aren't you the same people that said he should have a gun to protect himself? You're the same people that said that he's not supposed to do that now. We've already talked about the fact that there are 11 witnesses that said those cops did not identify themselves. So somebody kicks your door in, you're not supposed to. Are you supposed to defend yourself or not? Now you're saying because I'm trying to. Now you're saying because I'm trying to defend my home, I deserve to get shot up, and my girlfriend deserves to die in her sleep because you kicked my door in. Doesn't make any sense, bro. Had these people not been cops, had it gone on, would it be okay? You know, the fact that we aren't, but you know what I mean. Like, the fact that people are. They're basically saying that because these guys are cops, it's okay to have happened the way that it happened.
Exactly.
And you know, a lot of the people that, and I don't blame you for staying off social media with this kind of stuff, because we've all been there and it don't do no good. And the reason it don't do any good is because you got a whole bunch of people on there talking a whole bunch of stuff about stuff they don't even know about. These people don't do research, bro. They regurgitate things that they read or hear on the news. And when Fox News tells these viewers that these cops were there for XYZ warrant and they announced themselves and it was a legal raid on this apartment or this house or whatever, they're just going to take that and run with it. And so now you got all these people going around saying, you know, the cops were there serving a warrant and they announced themselves. Well, you don't know that. You weren't there. What it sounds like and what the reports are saying and what the witnesses are saying is that the cops came in there and kicked the door in and old buddy tried to defend himself and some people got shot and nobody's being held accountable for that.
Bro,
the only person who's kind of being held accountable for anything is the person who shot some stray bullets into a white neighbor's house.
Oh God. Bro, like even to say that, so as the city of Louisville, we gonna give the family $12 million. But as the Attorney General of Louisville, I'm only gonna charge one officer with wanton endangerment. So it's like one wanton endangerment charge. Like, my question is this: if the only person who did anything wrong was the officer who missed Breonna Taylor, then how come that white family didn't get $12 million?
Right.
How come that family on the other side of the wall who got the criminal charges in their favor, why didn't they get no money? Where's their money?
Right.
Where's their settlement from the city?
And we don't pay $12 million to somebody. We don't pay $12 million to a victim who deserved it.
Bruh, I mean, you said it right. Because this is one of the biggest things that I be caping for, I guess, if you want to put it that way, is that, like, the same people who vote Republican will say it's because they fiscal conservatives. They don't believe that the government should shell out all this bullshit money for nothing. They want their taxes to go down. That is taxpayer money. That is taxpayer money, bro. I wish I would have known I was going to make this point so I could look the number up and how much police departments have paid out in settlements in the last couple of years. I am almost 100% sure it is over $1 billion. I don't want to quote that because I haven't looked at it, but I'm so close to just wanting to spout that like truth. Because I know it's something, if it's not that, it's something so crazy it feels just like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that these places shell out, and that does not come out of the police budget. That just comes out of your money. That's just taxpayer money that they have to make that up now. This is going to be a budget shortfall later on in your city. When you wondering why little shit ain't going to happen, why your trash is getting picked up one day a week instead of two, why potholes in your neighborhood not getting filled like they supposed to, why you still got that one light that seem like it don't never turn green, all these little things that they thinking that you won't notice is because that $12 million they had to shell out because y'all think it's cool to kill people for no reason.
Right.
And I guarantee you that family would much rather have their daughter.
Yeah, I've always been tripped out by settlements for wrongful death suits. It's like, I mean, yeah, obviously cool. Well, I mean, we're gonna take the money, cool, but come on, bro. Like, we'd much rather have somebody go to jail over this. Like, and that's not close. That's not even a debate. Like, what kind of family member would be like, yeah, give me the $12 million in lieu of any of these cops paying for this reckless homicide? Even if you don't want to call it murder, which you should, but even if you don't want to call it murder, it needs to be something, bro. And, you know, the facts of the case at this point, I mean, we could argue the facts. I mean, but what's the point, man? I mean, the facts that people are arguing are whether there was an open warrant for this boyfriend, whether these cops needed to be there at all, whether they announced themselves at the door. But there wasn't. And I don't understand how these facts can be argued because they're not true, bro.
Exactly. How are you arguing against the fact with just like a statement? You like, oh no, the boyfriend had warrants, and they're like, no, he didn't though. They like, yeah, he did. It's like, no, he actually didn't.
This is like public information. You can Google this. There were no warrants for either of these people. She was asleep in her bed, not causing anybody any harm. The police kicked the door in. He fired at them because he didn't know who they were. They fired back and killed an innocent woman in her bed. Those are the facts.
I've been so sure that people have been unwilling to just Google information and they would rather just spout out random bullshit. I'm on Facebook one day and this girl posted some shit or whatever, and she was like, it was like one of those, I'm going to post this fake news article and put my caption, I hope this isn't true, but ... right?
Yeah.
So I just, bro, like, listen, I am not a researcher. It's not my thing. I find it difficult in my own studies to like do deep research on specific topics. This is not really my forte. But I do know how to use Google. So I just Googled the first line of her post. And it was like, nah, that's just not true. You know what I'm saying? So I just took the article, copied and pasted it, threw it in the comments. It was so clearly not true that before I could do it, 2 minutes after she posted it, someone else had already done it.
Yep.
She then gets under that and says, well, I wish that there was some kind of way that I could see this because they haven't really released the information yet. I remember what it was now. It was like Biden's tax plan. And I just went on Google once again and I put Joe Biden's tax plan. The first thing on Google pops up, the whole fucking thing. Itemized list in layman's terms for anyone who understands to read. I then linked that. And my comment was, I'm not trying to be any kind of way, but all of this information is a simple Google search away.
Yep. And that's the, that's the time we live in, man.
I mean that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean that, bro. Like, it'd be a simple, like, as long as it takes you to share an article that you think might not be real and then caption it with, maybe this is real, maybe it's not, knowing half your followers are not going to read your caption. They're going to see the article and take it as true and then go on and spout some bullshit later because of it. Even if you don't walk away from it believing the bullshit, you still contributed to someone else doing that dumb shit. When all you had to do was when you came across the article, been like, that one's not real.
Right.
It doesn't take long. It's easy. Yeah. It doesn't impede my scrolling, bro.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that in the past, but I learned the error of my ways quickly. Like,
me too.
You don't see an article and immediately share it, especially if it's going to put you on a side of the fence that you're gonna have to fight your way back over if you're wrong. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've been wrong before. We all been wrong. I've shared some things that weren't true, you know. But you learn from the error of those ways, and it's okay. If you're on the wrong side of this Breonna Taylor thing, it's not too late for you to say, my bad, I didn't learn anything before I shot my mouth off. I actually don't feel this way because I looked at the facts. We'll accept that. We'll accept your apology. Everything's cool. Day. All day. It's okay to be wrong and it's okay to admit that you are. What's not okay is remaining ignorant to the facts just because it's more comfortable for you. What happened is an innocent lady was killed. A home was battering rammed down for no reason. 2 people were shot at for no reason. An innocent lady was killed, and the first thing y'all want to do is hop on here like, oh, well, they had warrants because Fox News told me they did. Or they had warrants because some person on my friends list shared an article. I saw it. I read the headline and shared it too. It's not the case, bro. It takes 20 seconds to Google something and read an article about the facts of a case from a certified source, from a
from
credible
multiple
source.
sources, bruh. I mean, shit. Sometimes,
Read
bro,
it from
I won't
10
even
different
share
sources.
shit. Yeah, bro. Like I'll go check and make sure that this news station's account is as accurate as this. A lot of news stations are real performative, in my opinion. Like if you read an article on CNN, like it's not going to be factually incorrect. It's just going to be framed in the way that like catches your eye more than it does inform
Right.
you.
Right.
You know
and
what
you
I'm
know
saying?
what's
Like,
wild?
so I,
To that point, I know a lot of people watching this that are on the other side of the aisle think that you and me, maybe both, just watch CNN and take their word for it. That's not true. You want to know the most objective forms of media you can consume are local television stations. If you want to know the truth, local TV be the most objective because they still obey the rules of journalism for the most part. To where you just state the facts and you get off of it and let people draw their own conclusions. Your giant national news networks don't do that. They don't do that at all. They are totally opinionated. Totally. They give you the facts, but they got talking heads on there who have their own opinions and they force them on you. Both sides do that. So don't watch this. Don't read articles that Dre and I share on social media and think that we just agree with everything a CNN.com is writing on their website. Because all I want to do is look at all the facts from somewhere and decide whether or not I think that should have happened. And the fact of the matter is, these people didn't deserve the cops to be beating their door down that night. And even if a cop is defending himself because somebody fired, if they weren't there to begin with, this never would have happened. So it's no longer about, so the cops are supposed to let people shoot at them? No, of course not. Nobody's saying that the cops should let people shoot at them. The point is, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. They had no reason to be there. It's kind of like the Jacob Blake thing. It's a whole nother story, but the point I'm making about that is this. Everybody came out the woodwork talking about he had molested a child. That was viral. Jacob Blake had molested a child, so he deserved what happened to him. First of all, that's not true at all. He had a sexual assault charge pending from his fiance or his girlfriend, whomever lived at the home. Were the cops there to serve that warrant? Yes. Cool. The cops were there to arrest Jacob Blake for the sexual assault complaint that had been filed against him / a restraining order that she'd placed on him following that. Yes, the cops deserve to be there. No one's arguing that point. But don't let this this pedophile thing go around the internet like it's true, because it wasn't. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. Somebody heard that, saw an article, and shared it. Next thing you know, it's viral that this dude had touched a kid, and everyone should be ashamed of themselves for defending him. That's not the case at all. Further, he's there. He's got a sexual assault charge against him. He's got a warrant for his arrest. He's violating a restraining order. Arrest him.
Period. I mean, honestly, it just comes to, and this is pretty much the last thing that I even have to say about this. You know what I'm saying? Because what it really comes down to me is, if you're gonna be an advocate for the police, as far as if you're gonna advocate for police getting that top tier amount of like respect and everything in the community that I hear people saying all the time, with that same energy, you have to advocate for the police to be held to a much higher standard of duty, to protect and to serve their community. Not that law and order bullshit is hype. You don't want that shit, bro. Listen, what I don't want to be one of these people because I hate when motherfuckers be like, I have a black friend. I'm not saying I have a black friend. Most of the people in the hometown that I grew up in are white. Like, it's one of the more diverse places in Oklahoma. It's still not that diverse. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still 75-80% white. Like, it's white as fuck.
And the outskirts are not close to diverse.
Not even close. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up with white people. Like, I'm not talking about the one white guy I know. I'm not talking about Jason. Like, I'm saying, like, I know that as a community, white people don't believe in law and order any more than we do, because when the police start fucking with y'all, you lose your mind. Mm-hmm. When the police pull y'all over for some bullshit and they won't let you go on about your day, you lose your mind.
Yep.
You lose it. You be watching these videos of these white ladies losing their mind in the store because they getting asked to put a mask on. You couldn't even last a day black. They would murder you indiscriminate the first day.
Yep.
You can't do that shit when you look like me. So you can't even tell me that y'all believe that the police should be running around policing every small act that anyone does because you don't want that for yourself. What it is that you believe the hype that we need that. That in order for us to not infringe upon your safety, we have to be policed on that level. And that's that white supremacy that's baked in that you don't even know you believe.
Right.
And that's the shit we talk about. That's why I feel like it's all about race. It's always about race. Like sometimes it just is. Sorry.
You know, it goes back to people resisting what they're not comfortable with, man. Nobody likes to be told that they are racist. They just don't like to be told that because they may truly not believe that they are, but they don't like to be told that because it's uncomfortable for them. It shakes the foundation of what they think they are. And you know, again, back to what we talked about in episode 1, I don't believe that everybody's maliciously racist. But people have this age-old fundamental closet racism that's instilled in them that they don't really know how to address. And it doesn't always look like walking down the street, seeing somebody and using a word, or beating somebody up because they are black or Hispanic or Asian or whatever. It doesn't always look like a hate crime. It doesn't always look like wanton racism. Nowadays it looks like turning your head when justice is time to prevail. Sometimes it looks like making an excuse for why somebody deserved to die. Sometimes it looks like coming up with a reason that a cop deserved to be at a house where things went sour. You're fishing for reasons that these things are okay. Ahmaud Arbery is the same way. There were people that found a reason that Ahmaud Arbery should have been hunted down in the street and murdered. And it's because he was walking through a construction site. There's my favorite thing. This is obviously sarcasm, but my favorite thing to hear when some of these things happen is, well, he was a criminal. He has a criminal record. Okay. And you probably do too. So does your uncle.
Bro, so many people got criminal records.
Right. Everybody with a criminal record deserves to die? Wildin'. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, you're fishing, if you are fishing for reasons that these things are justified, and we're not talking about what we talked about before, the bang bang play. Like, when there's a cop on a traffic stop and somebody does something crazy like reach for his taser and the cop has to decide, that's not the type of thing we're talking about. That's got a lot more room for these types of discussions. What we're talking about is when somebody is shot in the back 7 times and you have to make up a reason that was okay, like, oh, well, he touched a child. First of all, it wasn't true. Secondly, how many white people have touched a child and were arrested and taken to jail for it?
Exactly.
It doesn't mean he deserves to get shot 7 times in the back.
I got a question for you, bro. So, like, you was talking about, and I know we was going to go off this, and I actually, it's something I want to tell you, too, but whatever. You talking about them bang bang plays or whatever. So I'm of the mentality of this, right? When anyone else in the world has a bang bang play, an incident where it's just like right then they weren't sure what was gonna happen. They you know what I'm saying? Like maybe they did genuinely fear for their life or whatever, right? They have to explain that in court.
Right.
They get charged. You still get the charge. And that, to me, is where we've got to start. Right?
Right.
It's not our job as the public to decide whether or not the officers were guilty. It's not. Right. I mean, bro, listen to me. If they charged all 3 of those officers with murder, they put those 3 officers in front of a jury, and that jury lets all those officers off, there's not a ton I can say, do, or feel about that. You know what I'm saying? Beyond be upset that the entire country is not in a different place that 12 jurors couldn't decide differently, right? Like, that's how I feel about the Trayvon thing, right? Like, even though there's a lot of shit about that, they didn't present their best case, blah, 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 whatever. At the end of the day, 12 people said it was cool for him to kill Trayvon.
Right.
They were like, we think it was all right.
Yeah.
That speaks to us needing more evolution as a society. But for the officer should not receive the initial charge to let them see a day in court to have to prove that they were not responsible for that. That shows an undue bias to anyone in that profession, that not only would you likely not see any real consequence for your action, no one will even really get to know what happened.
Right.
No one will even really you won't even be forced to tell your side in front of anyone, more than likely.
Right. And
that to me, I feel like is one of the biggest barriers to kind of getting to where we want to be. Is that, like, if you a police officer, like how we talked about the settlement, the settlement from the beginning, like, it doesn't come out of police officers, it doesn't come out of pension. Like, it's the only example of a civil suit not impacting the person who did the crime. Like, OJ lost his civil suit. OJ still can't put money in the bank because OJ still has to pay Ron Goldman and Nicole Simpson's families.
Mm-hmm.
Like, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is coming out of OJ's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he's a murderer walking the streets, and I'm sure their family doesn't feel great about that, at least he doesn't get to keep being OJ. He's not the same, bro. OJ was going to go down as one of the greatest players in NFL history.
Yeah.
Endorsements, the amount of money, the wealth that OJ Simpson would have accrued had that civil suit not happened is astonishing. He can't even keep the money from the books, the movies, and none of, like, he can't keep most of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, just the it's not even a lack of accountability, because, like, a lack of speaks to say that, like, there is some, but it's not enough. It's like there is no accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, not that the public can see. And I'll hear police officers say, like, well, you just don't see all the things that happen, all the cops who get fired, all the da-da-da-da. But here's my thing, is that if you're the police, you should want us to see that. You should be your own. Everyone else is in charge of their own public relations and marketing. And you charged with serving the community, that the community has a better image of you, it's easier for you to do that. So you shouldn't come at us like, oh, you should come research all the time we fire police who do bad. You should release statistics of that. Put your stats out.
Right.
Show me.
Yeah, for the most part, people want to see that evidence. You know, and I think going back to the point that you made is that, I mean, that's where you start. Like, think about all these cases, man. All these cases from the beginning of time, starting years ago. When does everybody put the picket signs down and stop talking about it as heavily? As soon as somebody gets charged. When did the riot stop? As soon as somebody finally got charged. You know, like, it's not that every one of us knows all the facts, because we never will. We weren't there. You know, we can read all the articles we could ever read, but I don't care who you are. You don't know all the facts, which is crazy because most of these things are on video now, high definition video, and we still find a way to argue what happened in the moment. Anyways, that's a different point. What people want is accountability. That's it. Like, we know that these situations are foreign to most of us civilians. We know that we can't really speak on what we would have done because we're not cops. But first, we know what wrong looks like on an HD video screen. Secondly, we wouldn't be making a fuss about these things if you would charge these people accordingly to what they've done. You know, if you charge them and you bring them to court, you let them have their day in court, and like you said, 12 people tell us that it's cool, I guess we got to eat that. You know, but you're not even giving us that chance. Nope. You're not giving people that chance. I don't mean to continue to say us like I'm trying to put myself in the black community, because that's not what I mean. When I say
it is a us. It is a us, though, because, like, and that is the thing, bro, that, like, although this is something that happens more predominantly to the black community, the fact that it happens in the black community means it happens in America to American citizens, and that's us. That's y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the fact that you so closely say us because you feel it as though like this happens where I live. This impacts people who I care about, right? And that's kind of how it should be that way. You know what I'm saying? And the thing I wanted to tell you was just kind of all of this back and forth, this polarization, this like how people are, like you say, they own their own side of different things, and this can kind of, you know what I'm saying, segue into the other thing we want to talk about. You know what I'm saying, that social dilemma, that dot. You know what I'm saying, is that it kind of creates people who have these images of people who they really don't know anything about, and that shit has real consequences. So the story that came to my mind, bro, when we was talking about all of these different occurrences is that, so my little brother got into a car accident last year. He was pulling out of a gas. He was not paying attention, honestly, being absent-minded. He's 20. He was 19 at the time. He's 20 now. He was just not paying attention. Pulled out, and he gets hit by this old white man. My little brother, if you know him, first of all, he's big as shit. He's about 6 foot 6'1". He's probably 235, 240 easy. Devin's big. You know what I'm saying? But solid big. You know what I'm saying? Like, not sloppy big. Devin's big. But he's the softest person you ever meet in your life. Like, not soft, like you can fuck with him, but like he's like just nice, bro. Like, he's one of the nicest people. Like, he's like one of the heads of the youth program at a church. Like, he's just like, that's just Devin. Like, he's always been like that. So when the man hits Devin, he hits Devin, but it's Devin's fault. When the man hits Devin immediately gets out of the car. Like, he immediately gets out of the car to go make sure that this man is okay. Like, he sees it. He's an older dude. He knows that it's his fault. Like, he feels bad. He's like, man, is this dude okay? That man pulled his gun on Devin.
For real?
That man had a gun right there that he had already reached for.
Just because he got out of the car and approached him.
Because he got out the car and approached him. Like, as if he was going to, like, what did you think he was going to do? And, like, and I know it seems like it may not have nothing to do with whatever, but one of the biggest things I got from that doc that you was talking about was that because of how these social media companies are set up as business entities that feed you information you want to see, you get these people down these rabbit holes and they just suck in all this information and believe all this bullshit hype and all this fuck narrative.
Yep.
And, like, that builds people like that, in my opinion. Like, the type of person who will be sitting in his car, hit someone. I mean, honestly, bro, like, if he was paying attention, he wouldn't have hit Devin. It was Devin's fault because he pulled out in the traffic, but that man had plenty of time to stop. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You get into a car accident and the person gets out of the car to see if you're okay. And you think your life is at danger. And the thing that it makes me feel like, and this is off topic of the doc, is just that, like, if that man would have shot Devin, him being an old white dude and Devin being a young black man the size he is, he would have easily got off. He would have easily got off with, I didn't know what he was going to do, I was afraid.
Right. Yeah.
And if it's the opposite way, there's no way that happens.
Right.
You know, but.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think there's, as it pertains to, you know, the social media rabbit holes and things like that, and that's a true case. I mean, it goes back to people only consuming what they're comfortable with. And, you know, these social media channels they're running everything now. They run everything. They own a large majority percentage of what media people consume every day. And the way that they're formatted to feed that to you is based off of all of the other stuff that you consume. So if I'm only watching, like, I watch rap battles a lot on YouTube. Yeah. It's primarily what I watch. Rap battles and fantasy football podcasts. Pretty, like, 1 and 2. And, you know, some other stuff sprinkled in there. But every time I pull up YouTube, I've got another battle recommended for me to watch. It's the same thing on Facebook. It's the same thing on Google. These companies are set up to measure your behavior so that they can continue to serve what they know is already going to interest you.
Yeah.
When it relates to social issues like this, if I'm watching the same news networks that paint me the same narratives that drill the same points into me every day. The next time I pull up Facebook, there's going to be another one of those. And the next time I pull up on YouTube, there's going to be another one of those. And what's crazy about YouTube is you don't even have to subscribe to these channels to be fed that stuff. YouTube will recommend it based off of keyword content. If
there's stuff that I didn't know I wasn't subscribed to. Like, right. I thought there's stuff that I see so much, I thought I was subscribed to it, and then like something will make me look at it, I'll be like, damn, I never subscribed to this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Dude.
I watch all of his stuff. Right.
All of this shit. Yeah, I done seen all the videos.
Right. As it pertains to social issues like this, you have to start wondering what is the effect of, what is that type of thing having an effect on society where something like that could happen to your brother? Is it because he's just consumed the same type of stuff his entire life that has him believing that for whatever reason, this scenario is life-threatening to him? The follow-up question is, had your brother been a different size or a different color, would he still feel as though his life is being threatened? We can't answer those questions because we're not that man, but the point is...
no one can know for sure.
That's a true, valid question to ask. And that's the point I've been making for years about these police scenarios, these bang-bang plays. There's a reason that these cops are approaching these situations with such high defensiveness. It's not about what happens in the moment as much as it is about, why are you so nervous?
Bruh.
See what I'm saying? Like, you walked up to that car at the traffic stop feeling nervous already for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, it just, there's an aura of tension that you can feel through these cell phone screens that we're watching these recordings from. And I don't believe all these cops are bad guys or anything like that, but the point is, why are you approaching this situation with such high defense, such high anxiety, and your nerves are through the roof? We can feel it in the phone screen. You know, like, I've been pulled over once in my life that I had a highway patrolman pull his gun out on me. And the only reason he did that was because I was chopping, for one. Like, I was doing like 98 on accident. I wasn't paying attention. I was just jamming, and there was nobody on the road. It was like 6:30 in the morning. I was on my way to drill up in Mustang.
Just comfy.
And I was just
feeling good.
I was moving. And I was in uniform. And he approached the window with his gun out. And it's only because I was going so fast, and because it turned out, I don't know if you remember Oklahoma Highway Patrolman Nick Green, who was killed by a drug addict mad long ago. This guy happened to be his partner, so he approached all his vehicles like that. So that's the only time that's happened to me. It had nothing to do with how I looked. I've been pulled over a few times, like more than a few. And I had never felt like my situation was, high anxiety situation. Or I never felt like anybody approached me with any type of high defensiveness. Yeah. But you can see these things happening on these phone screens. These cops are approaching these black men and these black women with their hands on their holsters, and you can feel the tension. And it's just not called for, bro. And it comes down to what you were talking about a second ago. Why did this man feel so threatened? Yeah, he's big. He's a big guy. But had he been white, would he have felt as threatened? That's a valid question to ask, and we'll have to leave it as a question because we don't know. But it's just not. We can't conclude anything else, bro. It was a car accident. It was an accident. And hearing you describe your brother and his demeanor, like I don't think he walked up to him like he was the Hulk or something like that. You know what I mean?
You're right. You just right, man. It is, man. I guess one thing that I will say about what you were saying about the officers, you know what I'm saying, just real quick, is that I think that's also another thing that, like, I feel like it almost seems like slander to say, like, people see, like, you can't fuck with the police if you say this, but, like, my honest to God belief is that, like, if you're the police and you are nervous about confronting civilians, then you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be the police. Like, that nervousness makes you ineffective at your job. And, like, that's okay. Like, it's a tough fucking job that most people cannot do, in my opinion. Like, most people can't be police. It ain't an easy job to be able to walk up to, like, bro, it take nerves. That take nerves. To walk up to a car, you don't know who's in it. You don't know what they could possibly have. You don't know what they're doing. But you are charged with protecting and serving. So you have to approach that person like a citizen who you are either trying to protect other people for them or serving. And if they are not, like, even if so with you driving 98 miles an hour, I'm protecting other people by pulling you over and giving you this ticket. Like, that's not a misuse of authority. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to pull you over. You know what I'm saying? Right? But that's all it got to be. Right. I've done my job, bro. I could walk up to you. I don't have to ask you. And my favorite thing, bro, is every time I get pulled over, the first thing they do is ask me where I'm going or where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And it just imagine it, because it sets you up to, like, either have to kiss this man's ass or make your situation more difficult immediately. Because in truth, why should I have to tell you? The answer to where did you just come from, or where are you coming from, where are you going, I should be able to comfortably say, that's really none of your business.
Right.
Because it's not.
Yeah. It's not.
You know what I'm saying? But I can't, because if I do, then it's going to call 2-3 more cops. There's already another cop on the way. Every time I have ever been pulled over, they have always had another officer come. And I know that that's procedure in a lot of departments. So, like, I don't necessarily think that that's an extra thing. But maybe it is. Who knows? Because it's never happened to me except highway patrol. Highway patrol is the only people who have pulled me over without calling for backup every time.
Right.
But if I say no, I don't want to tell you where I'm going. You calling back up. This car getting searched. Right. I already know this car getting searched. And even if I don't got shit and I ain't doing shit, I don't feel like going through that. Like, I just want to go home. But I don't want to have to kiss another man's ass to do it. Like, I want to just be able to say, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Why are you pulling me over? And them say, well, you didn't hit your signal when you hit that left. And I'd be like, well, are you going to give me a ticket, or do you just want me to signal next time? And then they'd be like, A or B.
Right.
And then I go home.
Yep. That's all it has to be.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's protecting and serve. But that law and order shit make them feel like they need to be, that's where are you going? Where are you coming from? You know what I'm saying? What are you up to? That's when they get to asking you questions they want to know what to, because they feel like they have right to determine whether or not your destination, whether or not they see fit that you should reach your destination. Like, as if I was to say, if I answer where am I going incorrectly, that you're going to be like, nah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, like, bro, I just feel like you're right, bro. Even with the police, it comes down to that same dynamic. Police officers got social media too. You know what I'm saying? And even if and take this into example for what we know about social media companies, both from experience and a doc. If you're a police officer and you're not racist, not at all, right? But you follow a lot of police related things, the Facebook algorithm is going to send you some shit. Believe that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because of your homies. Because of who you associated with. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and I just
because of what you do.
It's a rabbit hole that, and honestly, it didn't start with social media. I mean, thinking about that guy that you talked about with your brother. I mean, you described him as an older person. He probably doesn't even have it, to be honest. And if he does, he don't use it much. But I mean, the concept of, you know, being bred with this fundamental idea of people is age old. Yeah, people are they're just born and bred and, you know, built a certain way, and they consume what they're comfortable with, and that consumption year in and year out and year in and year out is going to solidify where they stand in everything, and it builds a certain resistance toward things they don't understand and things they don't know and things that they feel threatened by. And unfortunately, that's just kind of what it is. And I mean, kind of going full circle back to Breonna Taylor. I mean, man, it just, this is just proving that this is a fight that's not even close to even almost kind of over, man. Like, because you're just dealing with two sides of the world who are continuing to solidify their spot in the soil on a particular side of the fence. And social media is one of those things that's going to help them cement themselves in that spot, because all they're going to be fed over and over and over again is what they already believe.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what sucks about the time that we live in, and with the way that social media is driving our behaviors and our decisions and our communications with one another. It's just, these things are designed to show you things you already like. That's the whole point of them. And if we continue to let social media, and even media now, we only watch the news channels we agree with already. It's the same thing with religion. We go to the churches that have doctrines we already agree with. If somebody introduces another idea to us, we immediately reject it.
Every time.
It's because we only consume things that we already like. And that's what sucks about the times that we live in, is we live in a social media era where we're only going to consume the things that we already like. And we're only going to be offered the things that we already like.
Unless you go out and seek that shit on your own.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the real.
Yeah, and that's kind of back to the point we were making earlier. You really want to learn something? Spend an afternoon Googling things you don't get yet. And just read them and find out if there's something in there that you can rock with. There's going to be something in there that can teach you something about being wrong about X, or, man, I never thought about Y. You know what I mean? Like, we got to get out of a comfort zone of, I'm just going to stay where I know it's going to be safe, because that's not working for either side, really.
I mean, you just can't let other people's opinions influence your facts. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, like, that's the biggest thing. Like you said, my nigga, like, when it come to looking shit up, like, I don't be looking shit up. Like, when you really start to look shit up, you will find that no one's going to tell you how to think. Like, when you really start actually looking for information will not be presented with bias more times than not.
Right.
The more bias there is, the less information, even if it's biased in your favor. Like, I am of the belief, like anyone else, that the things I believe in and advocate for are correct. Like, I don't advocate for them just on some, like, I don't believe in identity politics. I know what I believe in. But I also know that when some shit happens associated with XYZ, I don't just go to the place where they immediately are going to say all the reasons why. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Trump unveiled his tax plan for Black America. I don't know if you saw this, but Trump said he's going to make available $500 billion of capital to Black Americans. And I'm trying to find information on it. Right? And because it just happened, and honestly, this will happen to you too when you really start to look stuff up. When you really try and find details out about something, and everything you find is just someone's opinion of the announcement.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What you can be sure of is that there is no substance there.
Right. And there's no information about the announcement.
It's just more people saying, like, the announcement, what happened, da, 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 da. So there is no, and I'm leery of Trump for multiple reasons. Number one, you are the sitting president. Don't tell me what you're going to do if you win.
Right.
Like, you don't have that luxury. Like, and even though it's unfair to a degree, Joe Biden can win me by saying what he will do, because as of right now, he can't do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I can't say that, if he could, he would. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, that argument doesn't exist. No one can say, even though your boy was in the town hall and the lady asked him why he didn't do a national mask mandate, and he said, ask Joe Biden why he didn't do a national mask mandate.
First of all, he ain't my boy. Chill.
Bruh, listen, I'm like, my nigga he not president. That's why. But, you know, that's kind of my hesitation on anything like that. But regardless, like, you'll just learn, like, man, if it comes, everything I read today about that $500 billion tax plan was biased one way or the other. It was
Right.
either someone saying this is why Trump is going to win more black Republicans, or another place saying Trump thinks black Republicans are going to buy this.
Right.
But there was nothing that gave me substance of it. So I don't know much about it, and that's why we're not talking about it right now. And that's why we just got to do, as a society, we just got to do better at that. You know what I'm saying? And my final spiel on this whole thing, my where do we go from here on it, is the same thing it is for everything, bro. Because at the end of the day, guess what Daniel Cameron is? An elected official.
Mm-hmm.
The people of Louisville chose Daniel Cameron.
Yep.
He didn't pop up. He didn't get hired by some asshole. He wasn't appointed. Y'all voted for him.
Right.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
does that mean you just
And-
got to eat his decisions and whatever consequence comes from it because we voted for him?
until you can get his ass up out of there.
Yeah.
There's nothing as far as like legal process, that there's nothing else that can be done in those offices.
Yeah,
Like that,
it's
Daniel,
over.
the
It's
buck
over.
stops with Daniel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
and he's
it's
an
just-
elected
it's
official, so like
unfortunate.
it is, but that's why I say all the time, man. If you're not registered to vote, get registered to vote. If you think you registered, check and make sure you registered. And even if you feel like this presidential race bullshit, federal politics don't apply to you, the judges who live where you live are elected officials. The attorney generals who live where you live are elected officials. The prosecutors are usually elected officials. Like, all of these people who have so much say in all these things that we swear we care about and that impact us all this much are elected officials.
Right.
And if you don't know who was running up against Daniel Cameron, then chances are, in a small way, you contributed to Daniel Cameron being Attorney General. And that's not me
Right.
blaming the people for the outcome. It's just me saying that in a democracy, the only way to impact change is to cast your vote. And from what I understand, from what I know, if anybody watching this, and you can hit me in the comments, you can DM me, I don't care what, it don't matter. It's the only system of government I know that we have any say in at all. So even if this is broken, like, I don't see like getting rid of this and installing another thing. Like, what's the other thing?
Right.
There is no other thing. Like, this is essentially
Nah.
the best thing smoking, but it is completely reliant on participation. And that's why right now we live in a world where we're under minority rule, because there's one party that's figured out how to win without numbers. Another party that's trying to convince people that because they have the numbers, they should keep going, but they're fighting against them losing their numbers because people are starting to feel like it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like, that's the thing, like, man, like, if it doesn't make sense that we live in a world where the president lost the popular vote, where more people who live here wanted a different president than what we got.
Right.
And it got more and more embedded that way by people not paying attention and not knowing what to advocate for. But we know better now. We got access to all this information, and we got to do better. And the first step is just to plug in. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's what I'm hoping happens with this 2020 election. Like, that people just plug in. Once you plugged in, then we could go from there to say, like, as somebody who just took voting seriously in the last midterm elections, like, it's not the first time I voted, but it's the first time I really took it seriously. When I walked in there and I start casting my ballot and I start really looking at the people down ballot, I did not know so many other people. And I honestly it was overwhelming. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guessed. In truth, if you want to know what I did, I voted for the people who sounded black. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know, but it was
He black,
genuinely
I'm black,
because
I'm
I went
voting for the black guy.
I went into the experience not understanding what all it entailed, but because I plugged in 16, you know what I'm saying, or in 18, sorry, you know what I'm saying, when I plugged in 18, now 2020's come along, I'm a little bit more ready for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I go cast my ballot, like, I know, like, I need to kind of do my research ahead of time. I need to know who's here, who's there, you know what I'm saying, where am I going to vote for here? Like, it genuinely takes time to get acclimated to the process of being an informed voter, but you just have to start.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I hope happens with this 2020 election. In my opinion, it is the only way. I'll be honest. if we don't get more people to participate in government, my opinion is that it all ends up falling the fuck apart. And I got a baby on the way, and I don't know what's going to happen if it falls the fuck apart, because I don't want to move to Canada.
Right. But I will if I have to. Yeah.
If I have to.
Yeah, man. Well, parting thoughts. Man, rest in peace, Breonna Taylor, for sure. And everyone that's suffered injustice. Man, I just hope that our conversations with people around us can hope to shed some light on different perspectives, man, and hopefully we can eventually start to have real conversations with each other and make some change and have some real conversations among those elected officials and among police and among, whoever could help us influence positive change. I mean, if there are really people out there who really have an interest in affecting positive change, it starts with conversations, man. We got to be able to talk to each other and listen to one another. And hopefully these conversations with myself and Dre are providing some perspective, or at least giving you an idea or inviting you to join the conversation, man. I'm sure there are some points out there that we haven't thought of, and I would welcome anybody to join the conversation and drop in the comments. Give us a call, send us a DM, give us a text message. Be prepared for a conversation, though. But I definitely invite any and everyone who can join the conversation to do so and try to provide us a perspective too, man. We're not bulletproof, you know what I mean?
Facts.
We know that
I learn shit all the time.
Right. And that's all we're here to do, because if we're really going to start making a change, we got to learn to listen to each other. So hopefully you guys got something out of this. Dre, you got anything to say before we clock out?
I don't, man. This shit was dope. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
It was dope, man. I fucked with it. Like you said, man, I hope that motherfuckers get something out of this shit, man. I hope people feel it. I hope people understand it, like, man, like, especially when we talk about, like, actual race relations and shit like that or whatever. Like, I don't want people to think that, like, it's no way I can give an unbiased perspective. I mean, and to a degree, like, I'm not trying to give an unbiased perspective. I'm just trying to give a perspective more from experience, I'm trying to let people know what it looks like to someone who has to wake up with it. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I mean, one thing, me and Willie was actually talking about this. You know what I'm saying? And we was talking about how, you know what I'm saying? What we was talking about is how, like, we feel like you and your brother really get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, on a level that a lot of people who don't live it don't. You know what I'm saying? But I had to interject with our conversation and say, but man, as much as they get it, I said it has to be brought up to them. Like when Jason wake up in the morning, he don't wake up black. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't wake up with it. Like, Jason got to pick up his phone and scroll across an article or see somebody say some bullshit or notice something. Like, something has to actually occur to bring it to the forefront of their minds. You know what I'm saying? Whereas when I wake up in the morning, I'm already black. And if I walk out my door and forget that shit, I might fuck up and do some dumb shit, and I might not get to see it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a slightly different experience, and I feel like a lot of people don't have any real interaction with that experience to know that, like, it's not malicious. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like I say all the time, I grew up in Oklahoma with all these white people. We never got into no fights. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't running around solitary. They was like, oh, that's the angry Negro in the corner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I fuck with everybody. People fuck with me. Like, I'm happy. I live a happy life. I really try my best to. Mm-hmm. But it's in spite of things that I want to change, so that when my daughter wakes up, you know what I'm saying? When my daughter I got on the way, when she wakes up, when they live their day-to-day life, that, like, it's less of a factor that they have to consider, because it's exhausting and it takes away from energy that I could put in other places.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
Outside of that, man, the only thing I got to say is follow the motherfucking Twitter at Fuck This Shit Pod. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Go follow the Facebook at FTS Podcast. You can follow your boy personally on Twitter at Bandyman4536. On Xbox at Bandyman4536. If you listen to the podcast, like, rate, review, subscribe, share, all of that shit. You feel what I'm saying? I dropped a bonus joint yesterday called Fuck Daniel Cameron. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Full transparency, I feel like this was better. You know what I'm saying? It was a little rambly, but it's a bonus episode. It's bonus, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Take what you get. Go run them fucking views up.
Right, fact. Y'all ain't paying for it anyway. We get our money
Free.
from Spotify.
Free, nigga.
Facts, man. Jae Raider TV, you know what it is. Common Conscience, episode 2.5. We out of here. Bah!
Peace.
What's good? Jae Raider, Dre Day.
What up, man?
Common Conscience. How you been, man?
I've been all right, man. You know what I'm saying? Life is life. You know, I don't know. Just trying to take it all in. In.
Did you get all moved in over there?
We moved in. Keys turned in at the old spot. Shit, everything straight, bro. You know what I'm saying? We've been doing right. Everything looking good.
Making moves.
Yeah, man.
For
yes,
sure.
Sir.
Well, glad to reconnect with you for Common Conscious, man. Episode 2.5.
Two and a half.
You know what I mean? 2.5. Yeah, man. Last episode, we were just kind of getting our feet wet. You know what I mean? Trying to feel out the market a little bit, see what the people wanted to hear. It seems like it did pretty well. How'd you feel about it, man?
Man, I'm dripping beer all down my beard right now, so I think we're going to have to start that thing over.
Already, no biggie. Outtakes.
You know what I'm saying? Outtake.
You know what I'm saying?
Start that thing from the top. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it in.
Already.